Today we're starting a series, this week and next week, talking about thinking versus doing. Oftentimes you know what to do, but you just don't do it when it matters. This is the gap that we're going to approach over the next 2 weeks. It's not about knowledge, it's not about intelligence, and it's not about your intentions. It's about execution under pressure. Most leadership frameworks work okay in calm environments with time to think and zero emotional load, which is to say that they work in conditions that rarely exist. Because the moment things get messy, when emotion spikes, identity gets involved, your thinking narrows, and now you're not applying a framework, you're just defending yourself. And that's where you start to drift. You say something slightly sharper than you intended. I've been there multiple times. You hold back something that you should have said, and you think of it later. Again, guilty. You justify instead of reflect. You're defending yourself and why you acted the way you did. And then you double down instead of making adjustments. And all of this is not to say that you're a bad leader. It's just that you don't have a usable structure to how you can respond in real time. And then we usually think, I just need more information. I need more strategies. I need more tools. Maybe. As long as all of those are helping you to think more quickly in the moment. Having a way to coach yourself while things are happening rather than after. What do we do? What would it look like to have a structure that actually works in the moment? When your heart rate's up, when the sweat's starting to fill your armpits of your shirts, when your ego is poked, and when the outcome really matters to you. We're going to talk about a framework that I read about from Steve Magnus and Brad Stulberg. Doesn't require a big overhaul. It's not a 42-step model that you need to memorize. It's 4 pieces: anchor, agency, alliance, and authenticity. The order is where this really matters. Because if you mess up the order, things downstream can get distorted. So let's walk through it. First, anchor. This is what the area that almost everyone skips and then wonders why everything else falls apart. Anchor is your ability to regulate yourself. We've talked about this using different words multiple times in other videos. It's your ability to notice what's happening internally and then create just enough space to not immediately react. And if you don't anchor, then you're losing the ability to think, to pause, and instead you react. And once you're reacting, you've already handed over control to your emotions. All right, the second piece is agency. This one's critical. This one's big in our leadership workshop. Once you've created space, now you have to choose. No blame, no justification, no explaining why this is happening to you. You choose what's your move, what actually matters, and what response aligns with your core values and the standards you've set for yourself. You always are going to have some sort of move you can make, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it costs you something. Agency is where responsibility shows up. Most people don't struggle with ability. They struggle with owning what they want to do, being able to do it in the moment. Third piece, alliance. Now we leave your head and we enter the real world, because most of your problems are not solved in isolation. They're solved through interactions with others. And this is where a lot of people get derailed again, because you try to win. You try to win the argument, try to win the point, try to win the moment, and you may lose the relationship. You lose trust. You lose the long game. Alliance is your ability to work with other humans effectively, to understand, to communicate, to move something forward without creating unnecessary damage. The final piece of the puzzle is authenticity. This is the alignment piece, because you can regulate, you can choose, you can communicate, you can still be off if it doesn't align with who you say you are. your values, your standards, your identity. And now we get real because authenticity sounds nice until it costs you something, until telling the truth gets uncomfortable, until holding the standard gets inconvenient, until consistency requires discipline. That's when you find out if your values are real or just a decoration. This is not for independent ideas. This is a sequence. And if you skip steps, you don't fail dramatically. But let's talk through them. If you skip anchor, now your agency is just impulse with a justification. If you skip agency, now you may be drifting and reacting or avoiding. If you skip alliance, now you're right, but you're alone. And finally, if you skip authenticity, you're effective for a while, but you're eroding trust, including the trust in yourself that you're going to create a story about why it's not really happening that way. Over time, this drift compounds quietly until one day you look at your decisions and your relationships and your results and you realize that you're off course. So, this is the shift. Stop asking, what's the right strategy? And start looking at what your process is when things get messy. Because strategy without self-regulation is going to fail. Decision-making without ownership is going to fail. Communication without awareness is going to fail. And performance without alignment eventually collapses. This is why this framework can be helpful for you. It respects reality, not the ideal version of you, the actual version of you in real situations under real pressure. And it gives you something that most people don't have, a repeatable way to think, decide, and act in the moments that you actually define. So here's how you start. Don't try to master all of these at one time. Pick one. So the next time something feels off, pause and ask yourself, where am I in this sequence? Did I skip something? That question alone will change how you show up because you don't need a new personality. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another book. What you need is a process that you can actually use when it counts. Anchor yourself, choose your move, work with people, and stay aligned. Do that consistently, and you don't just handle situations better. You become someone who can be trusted in difficult moments. So over this week and next week, we're going to dive into each of those 4 pieces in more depth to give you an opportunity for a bit more clarity and understanding and to try them out. So let me know what you think.